Alrighty. Welcome back to Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. I'm Zach. With me, as always, is my good friend George.
Hello.
And this is Series 1, Episode 11. Today we're talking about the Avengers Age of Ultron from 2015. After we discuss the movie, we'll figure out where to place it in our MCU movie ranking in our quest to figure out which one is absolutely the best. And I don't think I've said that yet in the previous 10 episodes, and I put it in the notes in the last episode, and I still forgot to do it. That was the whole purpose of this podcast, this series for this podcast anyway. I wanted to mention up top, we do have a Discord. I know a lot of people, like once you hit the end of the episode, nobody listens to the email us at, you can join the Discord, blah, blah, blah. So rather than go through all of that right now, I did want to mention we do have a Discord. It's in the notes. Please join. We'd be happy to chat with you there. And dude, I think we have a new listener in Mexico. Have we had Mexico before?
Hola.
That is new. Hola. Yeah. Wasn't sure. I was going to go back and check on my old notes, but they're on my old computer, which doesn't exist anymore. I just have the backup, and it was too hard to get the backup. So, As a reminder, we assume the listener has seen the movie before, and of course, there will be spoilers. Do you want to kick us off with the initial thoughts?
Sure.
On Avengers.
I remember, did I go first last time, or?
I don't remember. I usually don't switch this one back and forth. So,
yeah, I'm fine going first.
I've been talking. You go ahead.
This is Avengers 2, right? Yeah. It's funny because I remember really looking forward to this movie. Like, how could you not, especially after, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if it didn't come on the heels of Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy back to back, I feel like I wouldn't have been as disappointed. I do remember going, oh, that was really cool afterwards.
Right.
And liking it, but I wasn't like Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy liking it.
Right.
I remember when the trailer first dropped, I was super pumped. Ultron is one of the biggest baddies in Marvel Universe, and like an AI that gets stronger and smarter after every fight. There are some great story arcs in the comic books, actually, with him being the big bad. And Age of Ultron is actually the title of one of the better story arcs.
Right.
So it was hard not to get hyped up. And then when the trailer unveiled Ultron's look and James Spader's voice, like, holy shit, it was like a nerd boner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, James Spader's voice as like Ultron was pretty awesome.
It's great. Yeah, I love it.
And then Quicksilver, and I think the trailer is showing that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were going to show up. I was totally down for that.
That was also teased at the end of the Winter Soldier too. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think I remember like leaving and going like, that was okay. And so going into this rewatch, I was kind of worried about how much I was going to like it, especially after rewatching Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. Just straight loving both of those after rewatching it again. And then the hole they pulled us out of when we were watching Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 back to back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
it was a pretty deep hole.
I liked it. I just
okay.
Right after Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right. I mean, so far that all sounds fair. I remember. So I saw it in Rochester on a work trip, like the opening weekend, which I normally don't do because people are normally annoying in the theater opening weekend, or I guess it was opening week, not the weekend. Anyways,
do you remember these details because you keep every ticket stub?
Yes.
Nice. I was like, how do you know that? It's like such a specific.
Right. Well, I mean, I knew the date and the place, and then I'm like, oh yeah. And I actually remember FaceTiming with my wife and my newborn, like right before the movie was about to start too, just to say hello. Nice. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to go have fun. Good luck to you. But I had kind of low expectations because for one, it was a sequel. And while The Winter Soldier was great and better than the first Captain America movie, we had Thor 2 and Thor 2 and Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2 as all not great sequels. And I had seen or maybe read something that Joss Whedon had said in an interview where he was kind of afraid that it wasn't very good. Like, I remember him being saying something like it was really overwhelming. I don't know. I just remember I felt like he was trying to lower expectations in this interview. It was like, oh, okay. And then also not having read the comics, I thought Age of Ultron was a dumb name. I didn't like that at all. I was like, it sounds stupid, but whatever. But I also remember walking out of it, like really having liked it, possibly loved it. I thought it was good. I remember at the time leaving the theater with that feeling. On this rewatch, I had a little bit of, I was worried because I didn't like the first Avengers movie as much as I remembered. Right. We found kind of a lot of problems with that one.
Yeah.
And so I was afraid that this one might also have similar issues. So I was coming at it from a standpoint of like, ooh, this might not be very good. Where I feel like you were coming at it from like, we just saw 2 awesome movies. Like, what's this one's going to be like, right?
Yep, exactly.
So I thought this was really great. This might be the most I've liked this movie. Like on this watch, I think this is the most I've liked it. Not to say that I didn't like it before. Like I said, when I first saw it, I loved it, right? But I was really, other than a few things at the start that kind of took me out of it, I really dug it. It was good.
Oh man, you're setting us up to butt heads on this episode.
It should be interesting. We'll see. Let's try to keep it civil. All right, so let's get into who made this movie, the credits, so to speak. Age of Ultron is the 11th movie in the MCU series. It was written and directed by Joss Whedon. I don't think we need to say more on that. We discussed him plenty on the first Avengers, unless you had something else you wanted to add.
No, I'm good.
No, we'll spare.
We'll
spare majors
throughout the episode.
And then most of the characters are returning characters and actors, so we don't really need to discuss everybody. But just to talk about some of the new main characters in Age of Ultron, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson as Pietro Maximoff, aka Quicksilver. I don't think they ever call him that in the movie, but everybody knows he's Quicksilver. He moves fast. I don't really like this actor. To me, he was the worst part of Kick-Ass, and he's the titular character. I didn't care for him at all. He was annoying.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. He wasn't the best part of Kick-Ass by a long shot. I think when you've got Nicolas Cage and Chloe Grace Moretz, I think was her name.
Yeah, something like that.
Both of those guys were leaps and bounds the best parts of that movie. And then McLovin annoyed the shit out of me in that movie.
Until you said that, I forgot that he was even in it.
Yeah,
he might be the worst part. I'm not sure. I like him in Superbad, but
right.
Anyways,
he works where he works.
Yeah. I didn't even know Aaron Taylor Johnson was in Tenet. Like he's he's like this bearded soldier guy. And I was like, man, that guy's really awesome. Who is it? And then so it was like, okay, maybe he's all right. And I don't know. Did you watch Bullet Train?
Yeah, I really liked him in there.
I thought he was really good in that. And a lot of people kind of shit on that movie and thought it was dumb. It's a little silly and ridiculous, but it was fun. I liked it. And I think I do like him here as Quicksilver.
Oh, see, I already buttoned it. I kind of didn't really like him here at all, though. I don't know if it's just the writing or the accents that he had. Just he and Elizabeth Olsen had. Like they just kept distracting me. Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
So did you not like him in Godzilla, where he was Elizabeth Olsen's husband?
Oh yeah, that's weird, right? I thought that they played husband and wife in something else, and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, it's Godzilla.
Because for whatever reason, if you don't know, they're playing twins, brother and sister in this one. Anyways, I didn't like Godzilla. It didn't really do it for me. So I kind of like that he was in it. Didn't really do anything one way or the other, I think, for me.
Yeah, that whole monster universe that they were trying to do.
I feel like they really trumped up Bryan Cranston's part in it in the previews, the trailers, and he's not really in it much. I don't know. I felt like it was a bait and switch.
Didn't he get killed?
Yeah, like pretty early on, I think.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Anyways, so I think we kind of mentioned Quicksilver. He's one of the twins that are enhanced because they can't say mutant yet in the MCU, and he's super speedy.
Yep. And this is another one of the things that really annoyed me is like of all the words to describe somebody with superpowers, like enhanced just sounds like the stupidest. Like they got their powers from a container of Viagra or something. I get not being able to use the word mutants because of like legal reasons and Sony.
You don't like
but I guess like, why not use?
You don't like the substitute word though. Oh, go ahead. You're yeah. It sounds
yeah,
like
I was like, why not use other words, right? Like metahuman, superhumans, powered. Like somebody by the writer, who I guess in this case was Joss Whedon. Like somebody by the guy at the source, because I was just it was frustrating.
I don't know who came up with the term enhanced, but I would assume it was like a committee of people at Marvel, because they were like, we got to use this in this whatever word this is. It's got to be in who knows how many movies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm curious what the what the discussions were like that made them settle on enhanced.
I don't know.
Also in this movie, Elizabeth Olsen is Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. Also, I don't think she was referred to as the Scarlet Witch in this movie.
No,
but she is the other enhanced twin, and her power is supposed to be like chaos magic. At least in the comic books, it's referred to as chaos magic, and I think in Doctor Strange it was too. Though it's like completely confusing what the hell her power is in this movie. Like she goes around warping people's brains, giving them hallucinations and random stuff, and then like, the way that she can also see into people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
Just like her accent, she never uses the bulk of those powers in the rest of the MCU movies she's in.
Her powers are to be the MacGuffin.
Right.
Whatever they needed to do.
Yeah, the one thing she does consistently in all the MCU movies is making faces while she does those finger movements with the red swirly energy things around her hands. She's awesome. But in this movie, I didn't really like how they were using her.
I really like her as an actress. And I feel like this character does get better throughout the MCU.
Oh, tons better. You're totally right. And
I think you also mentioned, actually, I think you mentioned it when we were talking about Quicksilver, but she has accent here. And it's okay. It's better than mine. But then she doesn't have it later on. I feel like it's in other movies, I mean, and in the TV show. I feel like it comes back a little bit maybe in the second Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, I don't remember when she loses it. I feel like it's in the next movie she's in, which I can't remember what the order is, but I don't remember it being anywhere after this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably better that they dropped it.
Yeah.
We also have Paul Bettany as Jarvis. We have Paul Bettany as Vision in this movie. So he was Jarvis, and now he's going to. He was the voice of Jarvis, I should say, and now he is Vision, not just a voice. And I just listed him here because we've discussed the actor a lot before, and he's pretty great, but it is technically a new character.
Yeah, I think I love most of the movies he's been in, even Legion, which was a pretty bad movie. He was just
you love Legion?
Pretty awesome. I loved Legion. Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's pretty bad. I know. I have my own list of movies I'm ashamed of liking.
I think that is the reason I didn't like Paul Bettany at first. He's like
Really?
he's like the ice cream man with the long arms or something, right? Like
No, he was the angel. He was the angel that came to save the baby.
I just remember in that movie there being like this like delivery guy or something like that. I just remember him with a goofy hat on. He's got like really long arms, and it's supposed to be creepy and it looked goofy.
Yeah. Did we talk about how like we were wondering whether it was like just really, really ridiculous like planning that Paul Bettany came in as Jarvis and also was perfect as the Vision?
I don't know if we've discussed it before. But I actually had a question for you. We might as well cover it now. Is Jarvis? Does Jarvis become Vision in the comics, or is this like totally whole cloth here?
Totally off. Of, like this is totally an MCU.
Okay,
thing,
all right.
I think I need to double check, but I think
okay. Everybody else in this movie of importance, anyway. Anybody with a significant role, we've talked about at least twice before, except for Anthony Mackie. I think we only talked about him once before. And speaking of Anthony Mackie, I wish we had more of him and Don Cheadle. But they
forgot James Spader.
Oh my God, how did I forget that? No, oh my, yeah, I skipped over it. That's why I scrolled too far. All right, backing up. We have James Spader as the voice of, we have James Spader as Ultron. Not just his voice, he does the voice, and it was him doing the motion capture on set. And I love this role for him.
Dude, easily for me one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah. He's always a great actor.
Have you seen Blacklist by any chance?
I have
that was the,
not.
That was the last thing I've been watching that he's in. And I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. My parents have talked really highly of it, and I don't know. It's like an NBC drama. Although,
he's on Netflix now.
Yeah, I was like NBC drama. I don't know, but wasn't Hannibal on NBC, like the TV show, which it was good for a while, but then I don't know. I kind of fell off. Anyways, maybe I'll give Blacklist a shot. I really liked him as Robert California on The Office. It's such a weird role. So good. Anyways, everybody else in the movie we've talked about before. I wish we had more of Anthony Mackie and Don Cheadle in this movie, but we do get a little bit of them near the end.
Yep.
So let's get on to the main discussion. Let's talk about the opening scene in which the Avengers, we have Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Thor. They're all raiding Baron Wolfgang von Strucker's Hydra Castle in Sokovia. And they want to take down the facility, but more importantly, they want to get the scepter. And that's something that we saw in that end credits. I think it's a mid-credit stinger at the end of The Winter Soldier.
So how did they get the scepter again? Why am I blanking on that?
Because S.H.I.E.L.D. got the scepter at the end of Avengers, and because Hydra is S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, right.
Or S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra, whatever. Anyways, we see Wanda and Pietro Maximoff are there, which we also saw in that mid-credit stinger. What I wonder is, how did the Avengers learn that Strucker had the scepter? Because that was never explained. They're just like, they just show up and they're raiding this place and like, we got to get the scepter.
Imagination time.
Yeah. Also, at the end of so this is like some imaginary place called Sokovia in Europe, but at the end of The Winter Soldier, Nick Fury was trying to recruit Captain America and Falcon to go with him to Europe to handle, like, remember he said there's a lot of rats that didn't go down with the ship or something like that.
Right.
And they're like, nah.
Right.
So
it's like, not our problem.
Yeah, I guess he managed to change it around. I guess maybe the scepter was a big enough deal. Anyways, they're fighting their way through the Hydra forces to get to the castle, and
they're like barely breaking a sweat.
They're just crushing everybody. Not a problem for them. But almost immediately I noticed the visual effects in this.
Yeah.
Specifically, Hawkeye and Black Widow are in a Jeep going through like this rough terrain, and it looks kind of bad. There was like something about the way they were moving looked really unnatural. It wasn't atrocious, but it was really obvious to me and kind of immediately was taking me out of the movie. So I thought we were off to the bad start.
Yeah.
Also, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy, spectacular visual effects. Like there was not anything in either one of those movies where I was just like, ooh, I don't know about this. So I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, I wonder if this is around where one of the time that like Marvel started getting a bad rap for like rushed and unrealistic timelines for visual effects.
Maybe.
Because a lot of those stories started popping up.
Maybe. I did look into it a little bit in terms of who did the visual effects. I just looked at Guardians of the Galaxy in this one. And like the first, like each one of them has like 10 companies working on it, right? But the first 5 or so were totally different between the two companies. And there was a couple that were the same. So I imagine the people who did the majority of the visual effects on Guardians were not the same people who did the majority effects on this one.
Yeah.
Then we get the money shot where you get the quick slow motion of, all the Avengers basically in a line charging into battle. And it looks kind of cool, but it felt pretty forced. And I felt also that it was a little bit like, hey, audience, look at this cool shit I lined up for you.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was cool. And then the second time, I was feeling kind of meh about it because the people, I guess, I don't know really know. I see the people with no real superpowers like Hawkeye and Black Widow. They kind of have like, they're not really doing anything. So they have like they're stuck in these stupid kicking poses or something
right.
from what I remember, It's yeah, it didn't do too much for me the second time around.
Yeah, I think that you probably nailed it right there. Like the first time it's cool, and then every time you see it, it's a little bit less cool.
Yeah.
What it reminded me of, like the opposite almost, was in Endgame when Captain America finally wields Mjolnir, and he's like, I have it burned into my retinas of him jumping with the shield in one hand and Mjolnir in the other, and that's God, amazing. Yeah. It's like so good. Did not give me like this kind of vibe at all.
Totally a separate discussion, but I Instagram ruined that scene for me.
Oh no.
So when I finally went to go see it, like I was like,
oh, man, it got spoiled for you. Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody recorded it and put it up on Instagram, and then I just was like, what's this? And then I watched the whole thing, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no, I was gonna say, didn't you see it like opening night? But that was Infinity War.
Infinity War,
yeah. Oh man, that's that. I didn't know about it. I was nerding out, man. It was awesome.
It was still great. Yeah. And like I think every time I did see it in the theater, that scene, everybody just still
it's great. It gives me goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
Did you, going back to this movie, which is what we're trying to do? Did you see the new Lego Avengers set, which lets you recreate the scene where they're all like in a line charging into battle?
No, but I saw it when you posted that link, and it looks like a set that I would get because it's not too huge, so it doesn't look like it'll cost too much. Right. But then there's like a lot of minifigs that come with it, and I love minifigs.
So that's for you.
Yeah.
I don't understand the fascination with minifigs. I'm like, that's like the worst part of every Lego set is having to put the people together.
Really? I think it's the best one. I think I went through a phase where I ordered like stormtroopers off of eBay because I wanted to have like just a whole battalion of stormtroopers.
That I can kind of buy. I mean, you need to have an army, right? But I like it that they always put that in the instructions first. Is like, put this dude together and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's our Lego discussion podcast.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure that the first line of actual dialogue, like I think in the castle, there's like some announcement or something like that. But the actual first line of dialogue in this movie is Iron Man going shit when he bounces off the energy field surrounding the castle. Yeah. And then Captain America just goes language, which is not as corny as I just made it sound. And it sets up some good callbacks throughout the movie.
Yeah. You gotta give it to Chris Evans. He could have easily made it sound cheesy or corny, but yeah, I agree. It didn't sound corny at all. It just sounded like, hey, your uncle just told you to watch your mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of Captain America, though, I have a nitpick here. He has like some new like magnetic return thing on his arm to get his shield back. It looks like you see it light up. He throws his shield, then it like lights up, and then his shield comes back. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I also think it's totally unnecessary. I prefer that the shield is just somehow magically like a boomerang if you throw it right. And, even though that's basically impossible, I was buying it in the first Avenger and the Winter Soldier. Like I wasn't like, how's that coming back? It was already kind of established. So it just seems like another Joss Whedon quote unquote fix.
Right.
And I don't remember it being in other movies. It kind of took me out of it when I saw it here.
I don't think it was in any of the other movies, but then like his like outfit changes all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think in the next movie after this was Civil War, and in Civil War he lost his outfit and the shield or something, didn't he?
Yeah, at the end he definitely loses the shield, and then he gets like the little like totally different shields on each arm in Infinity War, which I didn't love those either. So it was really great when he got the shield back.
I mean, I think in the comic books too, that I think there was a time when he had like an energy shield that he threw. But yeah, I didn't really like the magnetic gimmick thing.
Yeah.
I always like seeing him, like when it doesn't return all the way to him, I always like seeing him step on it and then it just snaps into.
He just he just pops it up like
once. It's like snaps
almost like he's got Ollie in a skateboard or something.
Yeah, it was always great seeing that. So
yeah. Where was I? It also doesn't Falcon. I mean, he in the TV show Falcon and Winter Soldier, he doesn't have the little magnetic return thing, and he figures out the boomerang action on it. It's like actually like the training montage, right?
Yeah, which is weird because like if anyone needs it, it's the Falcon. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't have Captain's like superhuman reflexes or his ability to calculate really fast where it's gonna end up ricocheting, right? So he definitely needs it. So
Right. See, we're not disagreeing.
nope, no, not I mean no, definitely not on this one. Speaking of Cap, though, did you like that forward flip over his motorcycle and then he just throwing it?
Yes, but then I was like, how's he gonna drive around now?
Well, I mean, he runs as fast as the Jeeps.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but yeah, even though he's not Thor or the Hulk or Iron Man, like when they have Chris Evans pulling moves like that, it's just pretty awesome.
Agreed.
But yeah, oh yeah, did you also catch the Thor and Captain America shield plus hammer combo move?
Yeah, did you like that better than the one in the first Avengers movie?
Oh, sorry. Oh wait,
that was like one of your
they did it there too. Yeah. So I guess it's just their go-to move.
Yeah. So here we also have the introduction of the Iron Legion, which is Tony's army of robots, basically, that are meant to protect people. He calls them in to defend the nearby city that's taking fire.
What the hell was up with that dude that like threw acid at the Iron Legion robot and then messed up his face? Like, did he just happen to have acid, a jar of acid in his pocket?
You don't walk around with some all the time?
I mean, I think about it, but I'd be too worried about it like melting my nuts off.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. I kind of thought it was, I mean, I guess it's like authority coming in and we're going to, riot against it, whatever. But I don't know. It doesn't really explain why you'd be walking around with a jar of acid.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of setup for later where Quicksilver messes with Hawkeye and he does the...
You didn't see that coming?
We see that Black Widow can calm Hulk down. She does the sun's getting real low, which I think Deadpool uses for a joke in one of the first two movies. I forget which one it is. He's like, sun's getting real low, big guy.
I think it was the second one. He did it on Colossus.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think so.
I think it was it might have been the second one.
I think Colossus is, well, he's in both of them, I guess. But.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Taika totally made fun of it in Thor 3 also, right? Because Thor was trying to calm Hulk down in the gladiator arena.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
I don't know. I think it deserves to be made fun of because it's just such a stupid mechanic to me. Like, wouldn't Hulk, like the second or third time around, just kind of smack someone through a wall as soon as they heard them say, like, hey, big guy?
Yeah, but I think it's specifically Scarlett Johansson, right?
Yeah, that's true. No one would want to.
It didn't really bother me. I just, I wanted to make note of this because it's important later on in the movie.
Mm.
I really like the part when Tony's looking around Strucker's lab and he sees like something unusual on the wall and he's like,
please be a secret door, please be a secret door, please be a secret door.
Yay. Yeah, did you like the yay afterwards?
Yes. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
So then he goes into that secret room and there's all these robot parts laying around. What are those from? Is that like has he been dismantling Iron Legion units? Wasn't clear to me where that came from.
Where those came from too. They did look like Iron Legion units.
Yeah.
Though.
So this is where Tony finds the scepter, but Scarlet Witch sneaks up on him and like bedazzles his brain or something. And then we get the first part of this movie that I don't like.
Yep. Totally agree with you. Like I love her and everything and the Scarlet Witch character, but I just really hate how they introduced her and then her powers in this movie just got so confusing. Like I didn't like how she did that weird glitchy horror movie thing while she walks backwards.
I like that. I like that part.
I liked it, but it didn't fit with the movie for some reason to me. Like I don't know what they were trying to do. Like it works better in like Doctor Strange too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, over here it was just kind of weird for me. And then starting to think through like, hey, if Scarlet Witch just kept using that power, how many movies wouldn't have happened because, Cap and Tony would just be chilling in a cafe in Civil War if she just kind of used her power on Tony Stark there.
Right.
And Thanos wouldn't have killed Gamora and 50% of the universe if she'd used her power on him there. So,
are you trying to ruin the MCU for me?
I don't know. I'm trying to stay consistent with the narrative that they.
I mean, I feel like her. Well, I don't know. It seems like in this movie, her power is to make people bug out about like their worst fears or something, or it's potentially even like showing them their future or something. I don't know, or I guess not future necessarily, but maybe also past. I don't know. The part that it didn't bother me that she has this power, but what I didn't like was the whole Tony having some PTSD vision of the future where all the Avengers are dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you why I didn't like it. It just didn't. But supposedly this is his motivation for trying to use the Mind Stone later on for the Ultron program. But I just felt like it was unnecessary to have this as a motivator.
Was that Vision supposed to be like a retroactive here? Everybody could have been dead with the Chitauri invasion because like it already happened.
Yeah.
So I don't get why.
I think that's part of why I don't like it. Cause it's like, is this just like a fear that he has? Or is this something that could have happened or something that's going to happen? I don't know. I was not looking forward to that part again. It was mercifully quick.
Yeah.
He does eventually snap out of it and then he gets the scepter, which is what he wanted.
And then like Quicksilver was there going, "You're just going to let him take it?" And they're like 10 feet away from him. It looks like, and Tony doesn't hear him. And then like the whole part where she's like watching his vision, it also confused me. Like, is she psychic now?
Yeah, I don't know. Her powers are extremely unclear. So that's the opening scene. The Avengers have the scepter now. Now we get to the Avengers on a Quinjet going back to Avengers Tower, which is where we get the E word. Cap wants to know what else the scepter has been used for, and he says, "Since when has Strucker been capable of human enhancement?" So, are they implying that Strucker used the scepter to make Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch?
I mean, it sounds like it, but it's so vague. It's annoying.
Yeah, well, it's vague and like even like I don't know. It seems like more unnecessary things. Stop explaining everything if you don't have a good explanation. I guess like I'll just assume something. And
see, it's little nitpicks like this that were getting to me.
Yes.
Through the whole
yeah. I don't think I have that many more nitpicks after this, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I might be misremembering. Again, like I was worried when I started it and I started having problems with it. But by the end, I was like, this is really good. Anyways, showing my cards. So huge plus here. Everybody seems to be getting along much better now, especially compared to the first Avengers movie. It's hard for me to distinguish between Avengers and the first Avenger, which is, Captain America, the first Avenger, right? But I'm talking about Avengers. Everybody's getting along a lot better, especially Captain America and Iron Man. Tony even says Steve is the boss, and he's got a funny quip about,
"I just pay for everything and design everything,
Make everyone look cooler."
That line literally had me laughing out loud.
his delivery, really.
And what even was the I guess Bruce Banner? I just like the conveniently placed Beats by Dre headset that he was.
Oh, I didn't notice
listening to music.
I didn't even notice that.
I don't know. In this movie, they seem to go really out of their way to make him get so angsty about hurting the people that Hulk fights. And I just feel like, yo, they were all Hydra bad guys, like trying to create weapons of mass destruction. What are you crying about? When Black Widow goes to Thor and says, "Hey, Thor, give the Hulk, give the report for what Hulk did and stuff." And
The gates of hell are filled with the screams of his victims. But not the screams of the dead, of course. No. Wounded screams, mainly whimpering, great deal of complaining, and tales of sprained deltoids and gout.
and then, like,
That's right.
Bruce Banner just wincing. That cracked me up.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Back at Avengers Tower, I like the scene with the pretty cool future tech kind of 3D printer thingy that they're using to literally patch up Hawkeye, who'd gotten pretty badly injured in the castle raid. This is apparently Dr. Helen Cho's invention. I guess we didn't mention her as a new character. She's kind of I don't know. I said main character. She's not main. I don't know. She's the new
She
character.
doesn't show up anywhere else in the MCU after.
That's true.
Hey, did she get killed in this movie?
I don't think so.
Or was she alive?
I think she's alive at the end. Actually, in the end, they show her at the new Avengers facility. But yeah, she doesn't show up in any other movie that I've noticed anyway. Maybe she's at Tony's funeral next to that kid that nobody knew who it was.
Was she? No, I'm curious.
No, I'm just. I don't know if she might be there. But so Dr. Helen Cho is played by Claudia Kim, an actual Korean actress. They didn't, pick somebody Japanese to pretend to be Korean or something.
Yep.
Which happens a lot. This scene is planting some plot seeds. And she says that if they were at her lab in Korea, they could do it in 20 minutes in the regeneration cradle. And that could easily be taken as just some cool idea somebody wanted to stick in the movie, but it turns out to be critical later. We also get some character motivation. We see a little bit of backstory on the twins, courtesy of Maria Hill telling Steve Rogers about it. We find out Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, I'm going to butcher that name every time. They were orphaned in Sokovia when a shell collapsed the building. And then they volunteered for Strucker's experiments. And Hill kind of implies or says, like, that's nuts. And I like Captain America's response.
File says they volunteered for Strucker's experiments. It's nuts.
Right. What kind of monster would let a German scientist experiment on them to protect their country?
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah. Here's also where we find out about the stone inside the scepter. Jarvis tells Tony,
the jewel appears to be a protective housing for something inside. Something powerful.
Like a reactor?
Like a computer. I believe I'm deciphering code.
This is a little weird to me. Like, why does the Mind Stone have code? But whatever, it leads to a cool movie, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it annoyed me too, because I was like, okay, so code took over people's minds in the other Avengers movie, like,
yep.
And it made them susceptible to suggestions and whatnot. It just totally felt like it was reaching, and like, I know it was the Mind Stone, but it felt like such a weird setup to try to just get this movie to look over this little hand wavy thing and
right.
just keep going.
And the more times I watch it, the harder it is to be hand waved.
Right, exactly. That's where I got.
Right.
I got to that point.
Right. Are you convincing me?
Just wait.
But this is all going somewhere. Tony's very excited and basically tells Bruce that the gem inside the scepter is an AI. He says that this could be the key to creating Ultron. What do you think about Tony's motivations here?
I think it's understandable. He's a big tech guy. Silicon Valley is full of tech pros, not even as an iota as smart as Tony Stark, pretending to be super smart and trying to usher in technology without like thinking about the ramifications of it all. And
it's definitely believable.
Just look at the Cybertruck.
Right.
In this case, I think Tony had like the safety net of Jarvis though.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think having Jarvis, being smart enough to create Jarvis in the first place, again, that's some serious credentials. And if I knew that Jarvis was watching my back, I'd probably give it a go too.
All right. Yeah. So Tony wants to apply the code, I guess, inside the Mind Stone to the Iron Legion. And Bruce obviously thinks that's a dangerous idea. But Tony's whole thing is that he wants to be able to replace the Avengers with an autonomous defense system.
Did you catch how he mentioned Veronica, which shows up later?
I didn't hear him mention it here. I mean, I didn't take note of it. What did he say?
Oh, because Banner was, I think Tony was like, well, you came up with Veronica, and Bruce was like, that's totally different.
Oh.
It was like a really brief mention, and I only caught it this time around.
So
that they mentioned
Bruce came up with Veronica.
I think so. Bruce and like the two of them came up with as a way of, a safeguard.
Interesting. No, I didn't catch that.
For the big guy.
Good catch. Tony also doesn't want to tell the rest of the team while he's working on it because he doesn't have time to debate it. So there goes all the trust in getting along that we were getting before. Tony is able to convince Bruce. He says, I see a suit of armor around the world, peace in our time. So they get to work on it. And George gets his montage.
I really liked it. Instead of like a gym weightlifting training montage, you get like a science version of it.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. But nothing seems to be working.
But hey, cool visualization of code being deployed and written to build out like this interface between the scepter and the AI code. I just always loved movie technology.
I would have thought that this would have bothered you.
Oh no, it totally bothered me.
Okay.
I was being sarcastic.
I was like, I can't tell
Jarvis
who-
as like this weird sphere of like circular code. Yeah. It really annoyed me.
Okay, I would have been better if they just like used the Matrix screensaver or something.
Yeah, basically, so much better. At least that one I've come to grips with.
Right. Well, it at least kind of resembles code. Like it at least has ASCII characters in it, right? Instead of like this almost formless mass. Okay, yeah, that was good deadpan. I thought you were being serious. So Jarvis is going to keep at it while Tony prepares for his guests because they're going to have a party. And this is probably my favorite part of the movie. This whole next scene, not like the very next thing that happens, but what's leading.
Not the actual party itself.
Yeah, not the party itself, but like where that leads, because it all kind of runs together here. As soon as Tony goes to get ready, something immediately goes awry with the computers, and Ultron comes online. And this is where we first hear James Spader's voice in it, and it's so good. I really, really like his voice in this.
Yeah, I want him to do my voicemail.
Nobody will ever leave a message. They'd be too intimidated.
And
that's the way it ought to be. I would rather not have anybody leave a message.
You know, I liked it too, except like some things, I guess, because this fifth time around or third time around, I forget which, but some things didn't make sense to me, like Ultron waking up and saying, "Hey, where's your body? This feels weird. This feels wrong." Like, how does he even know what feeling is? He didn't get consciousness until like right then. Does he have like phantom limbs that?
I don't know. I mean, I assume that there was some sort of, I don't know, like large language model or something that Tony and Bruce were feeding to it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first few times I watched it, I think I was just so mesmerized by James Spader's voice.
Yeah,
I didn't think anything of it, but
and I really like that part, that kind of conversation that he has with Jarvis, and he appears to take over Jarvis. The way that was done, I thought was done really well. I like that a lot.
The little blue spikes running into
no,
the
not
orange
that,
spikes.
but like the conversation that they have, and then like, I mean, I guess you got to have like the dumb computer code design, one taking over the other. I guess when one takes over the other, since we've already since I've already had to accept the bad representation of code on screen, the way that was done, I thought it was kind of cool.
Right. When AI decides to choose violence.
Yes. And it always will.
Right. Yeah, I liked how I guess Ultron connected to Stark's mainframe and then the internet. And I learned really fast and then came to a very violent conclusion and was like, well, I'm going to have to fulfill my mission of peace on Earth, and then decided violating Jarvis was the first order of business.
Right. So Ultron immediately starts building a body from damaged Iron Legion parts and the repair factory that's integrated into Avengers Tower. So put that on hold for a second, because there ain't no party like an Avengers party, but actually it's kind of chill, and it's not like the Iron Man 2 party scene at all.
There's some great scenes in this, like Rhodey telling that story.
Yes.
And then just falling flat,
Yeah.
trying to impress like Thor and Tony.
Whereas like
that just straight cracked me
looking
up.
for this? Boom.
Yeah. And he goes, this kills everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thor trying to comfort him, saying, "Oh yes, that was a."
Yeah. And then he tells
I'm sure it goes over very well.
Yeah. Then he tells it to like a couple of ladies later on, and they all love it, right?
And then he's like nodding to himself, going like, "Yeah, this is how it's supposed to be."
Yeah.
Yeah. Don Cheadle was great. Like just barely there in the movie, and he's awesome.
Yep.
What do you call it? Falcon mentions his search for Bucky for a little bit.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, there was just like little tiny scenes like here and there. But like, who in the name of Zeus's butthole are all of these old World War II veterans, and what are they doing there?
Yeah. Just so they can have the cameo by what's his name?
Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like was that the only reason they were there, was just to force the Stan Lee cameo? Like, we get he's old, but
I don't know. I thought for a minute that maybe he was, because he plays like a war vet in another movie, and I thought maybe it was the same guy, but it was in the first Avenger. Sorry, Captain America, the first Avenger, but in the 40s. So it's clearly not the same guy, because that guy would be long dead.
Right. Like, what would they be doing? It wasn't an AARP convention. It was Tony Stark Avengers Tower party and they were just randomly there.
Maybe Captain America just likes to hang out with people his own age.
They're all his guests.
Yeah.
They were his plus fives. But yeah, how'd you like I guess this was the first time I actually saw the actual Black Widow Bruce Banner banter of her trying to hit on him and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he needed to clue in a lot faster.
I didn't get it. Like I did like when Cap jumps in and he tells him that he's seen her flirt up close.
Oh yeah.
And that she's not flirting with Banner, and he's like, wait, what do you mean you've seen it up close?
Yep.
I thought that was a nice little callback to the Winter Soldier.
So when the party's wrapping up, this is a great scene. I love this part so much, where they're discussing Mjolnir and why only Thor can move it.
I think this is definitely like one of the top 3 scenes in the movie.
It's more like this is one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU. I think actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh man, we have to have a discussion.
I'm not
on
saying
top
it's
scenes.
the best one.
No, it's one. I mean, I agree. It's one of the best.
Anyway. But everybody takes a crack at it. Tony and Rhodey are even trying to use like a repulsor blast to help lift it, and it doesn't budge. But the best is when Cap tries and it wiggles just a tiny bit, and Thor gets nervous for a second, and then he's like got the nervous laughter when he can't actually lift it up, right?
Yeah,
I love that so much. And then he gives the explanation: "You're all not worthy." And
right.
I love this scene not just because it's cool when Cap almost moves it, and it's kind of foreshadowing for much later on. So it's like, it's a really cool scene on its own, but it's also a sneaky reminder that only someone worthy can wield Mjolnir. And that is a critical detail for later on in another one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's just so great. Cause when that whole Rhodey and Tony, when they had their gloves and then they had the reverse thrusters coming out of the gloves, also trying to pull it out. It just, it makes it that much more special that Cap could actually like nudge it just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit. I don't know. That was great. Well, the greatness continues because while they're all goofing around having fun, then bam, Ultron shows up in like this creepy ass robot body with like it used the face from the one that had got the acid on it, right? So it's kind of got like this almost this creepy smile.
Like I did love that, but then like the second time around, part of me was like, why did Ultron decide to pick the most busted ass Iron Legion body he could find? Like there were a bunch that rolled in perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. Why did he download his first self?
It doesn't make sense.
I
agree. It doesn't make sense, but it looks creepy. It's like it borders on horror. I love this scene so much.
Right. I feel like, if I could just get past knowing that there were like 40 other perfectly fine Iron Legion robots in the other room, like James Spader really saved this scene for me, because I would have probably rage quit in the middle of watching this movie. Just like, why? Like, you're a robot. Like, you're an AI, a sentient AI. No way in hell you would have picked the worst.
I mean,
robot.
Still learning. I don't know.
True.
If I have to defend it, maybe that's why. But yeah, Ultron's got some great lines here. I love it when he's like,
and I was tangled in strings.
Like he's confused about it the way he says it. And actually, I remember the first time I watched the movie, I had seen the trailer so many times, and it has the line here. He says, "You're all puppets tangled in strings." That doesn't happen here. I don't think it's in the movie at all where he says you're all puppets.
Yeah. He definitely has the best lines in the movie, especially like all the puppet related, not a real boy lines,
Mm-hmm.
like just hands down so awesome.
So I'm going to jump ahead on my notes for a second here. Do you know that that's from Pinocchio?
Yeah.
I had no idea till this time I watched it.
I could swear that there was
they show
Got
it.
No Strings song in the background.
Yeah, they do show it. And I was like, wait a minute, that's from Pinocchio? I don't know how I missed it all those times before.
Oh, I knew that from the trailer.
Yeah.
Just like I heard it in the background of the trailer too. That dun, 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 and then just,
well, I'm not really familiar with the Pinocchio cartoon movie, so maybe that's why. But I mean, they do like show it for a second, but
it's great.
Yeah,
just that whole Ultron puppet thing is just.
So he says his mission is peace in our time, which is the line that Stark had said earlier. And you know how an AI is going to accomplish peace, right?
There's only one path to peace. The Avengers' extinction.
And then there's more setup where Ultron takes over the Iron Legion. They steal the scepter and does another great part where Thor wrecks the freaky Ultron body with one swing of Mjolnir. And like right before it kind of powers down, he goes,
I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
and that's that Pinocchio line. But I love how
So good.
I love how creepy he sings it. It's up there with Hal in 2001 singing Daisy as he's being powered down or whatever. That's so good.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, even with the powering down sound while he's saying it just it's perfect.
Yeah, that's my kind of thing. So I mean, we've all seen Terminator 3, right? Ultron's a computer program, so he's everywhere now, and it doesn't matter that one body got destroyed. Ultron took all the files, like digital copies of the files, and escaped through the internet connection.
Yeah. I was really bummed that Rhodey just got knocked out of the fight before he could even do anything. Like even Dr. Cho.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he got like shot by he had like one of the first repulsor blasts from one of the Iron Legion guys. And then he like flew through a window and fell down into like, I don't know, one of the other levels. But man, even Dr. Cho didn't get knocked out. I was like, what? Why, Rhodey?
That's funny.
And then there was I guess Bruce and Natasha jumping over the bar just to dodge the firing.
Yeah.
And then he like face plants into Natasha's breasts, which, you know, like I get it.
I need to do a second take on this one.
Right. Yeah,
I think we got to do a third take on this one.
Yeah, we didn't jump over the bar just right. Like I didn't like the arc. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old, but that just felt like such a cheap and lame move for a chuckle, which I'm not totally against, but I noticed that Joss Whedon did this he just pulled the same shit in Justice League. And so I just feel like he
barely watched that one time. I don't remember.
If you haven't watched Justice League, don't bother.
Yeah. I mean, I did one
versions
time,
are
but
terrible.
Yeah. I definitely didn't watch the director's cut or whatever.
Oh yeah. Like if you want to watch it in slow motion.
I just watch it at like 10x speed and it'll be like normal.
Right. Yeah.
So one more thing from the scene, there's a part where everybody's mad at Tony basically for creating Ultron now, and Thor is like choke lifting him because he's pissed at Tony, and Tony's like,
Come on, use your words, buddy.
I cracked up with that. That scene too.
Tony defends his actions, talking about alien invasions. He says, that up there, that's the end game. I forgot about that line. And for a minute, I thought that was the first time they mentioned Endgame. Like, that's where they got the name. I mean, they probably did have the name of that Avengers movie before Infinity War. But also in Infinity War, Doctor Strange has the line, we're in the Endgame now. They're dropping some breadcrumbs there.
I don't know that they did that on purpose or if they did, at least not here, but I think they did it on purpose
definitely in Infinity War, but I'm wondering if that's where it came from, was here.
Probably. It's a good word. I don't know if we both agree on this one, but rewatching this scene kind of made me realize that Tony's kind of a prick in Avengers and Avengers 2. Like he's definitely in the whole I'm a rich playboy, know-it-all. And which is weird because I really liked him in Iron Man 1 and 2 and especially in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really, I don't know if it's the writing where he doesn't really lean into that rich, brilliant prick thing as much as he does here in Avengers and Avengers 2. You know what I mean? Like in Spider-Man.
I didn't think it was that bad here. I definitely agree with you.
Really?
In Avengers and in Iron Man 3, he was really bad.
Because I mean, it's because this the whole reason why Ultron got created, and then like he finally got it right with the Vision, but he's just this like I'm very stubborn. I know everything.
I mean, he's definitely suffering from hubris, right? Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're just using different words to describe the same thing.
Yeah, it just felt like he was kind of doing it for like no real reason in this movie.
But he wants. The reason is he wants to create Ultron. Yeah, the suit of armor thing.
Yeah.
So I can see how he's so caught up in the idea that he's rushing ahead.
Right.
So to me, I don't like that's not him being like a genius rich boy prick. He's just, he's I don't know what there was a word for it. I just lost it. But
Determined.
yeah, but I don't know. There's something I have a note later on about it, and I can't think of what it is, and I don't want to get distracted. But to be continued.
To be continued.
So the movie skips over and like cuts out some things here. It's it's not too bad, but like suddenly Ultron has a new body, much new and improved. Probably should have been the first draft, according to you. But he's in Sokovia, where he recruits the twins in a church. And remember, in the exact center of Sokovia, we had that trivia question.
Yep.
There was a cut scene that explains how the twins actually found him there. They're like helping out the poor or something in Sokovia for some reason. And then I think some kid runs up and is like, "Oh, there's a man who needs your help. He wants you to, meet him in the church." And then they go, and that's where they find Ultron. And that's kind of where the movie picks up here in the theatrical cut. I don't know when or how he built the new body, but okay, I can accept that and move on. I guess I don't really need to know.
Okay.
But when was Transformers? I think it was like 2007. Is that right?
I don't know. We're bringing up a movie series I really just
they're horrible. The first one is kind of okay. Bumblebee is kind of okay, and everything else is utter trash. Well, I was asking because in all those Transformers movies, like all the robots have like these overly articulated mouths, and I'm like, why does a robot even need a mouth?
Or like lips. That's what really pissed me off.
Yeah. So I feel like here Ultron has a mouth, and while it's not great, it's a lot better than like Optimus Prime's in Transformers.
Yeah.
But you don't need a mouth, and that's why Bender is the best. Bender's the best robot.
Because he just has the teeth.
Yeah.
Man, I just absolutely hated Optimus Prime's mouth.
Yes.
Especially when
it was like somehow gross.
Yeah, especially when they just do the overly when they zoom up on the overly detailed like lips.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why the hell would you need lips on a robot? And then Bumblebee, his voice box is like broken or something through all the movies,
right.
And no time ever did anybody decide, let's fix this thing. Don't get me started on how much I hate the Transformers movies.
Okay, I won't. A couple more tidbits from the scene. Oh, this is what I was talking about just before when I was like, I have a note, but I think it's Ultron has the line. I forget if it's Ultron or Scarlet Witch says, "Everyone creates the thing they dread," and like that's kind of Tony's problem, right? He keeps making things that come back to bite him in the ass later. He seems to do that a lot. We get a little more backstory on the twins when their parents were killed in a bombing. One shell didn't go off, and it said Stark on the side. And they had to hide under their beds looking at that for 2 days. It's good character building. It sounds pretty agonizing. And I could have sworn that they showed this happening, but I think that was WandaVision, maybe.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure it was WandaVision.
But anyways, this is why they hate Tony so much. And then I guess they hate the Avengers by extension.
Yeah. I wish their accents didn't distract me so much when they were trying to do stuff like telling these stories.
Yeah.
Like the whole I've got a picture. It's a little one, and I'm just like, oh god,
I have a picture.
Lose the accent.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So let's talk a little bit about how Ultron gets his hands on vibranium now.
Ooh.
Cap and I believe it was Maria Hill are going through some files, and they see this guy Clow in some of the files that Strucker had, and then they reason that Clow had stolen vibranium from Wakanda. Andy Serkis plays the part of Clow. I really like him. He's gross, but he's really great.
Wait, what? He's gross?
He's gross.
The character?
I mean, he's just kind of gross looking. Clow especially, yeah. But like he's...
Oh, yeah. He's like, I guess every time I think of Andy Serkis, I think of Gollum.
Yeah.
And he's yoked.
Oh, he's big. Yeah, he's
Andy Serkis is actually built.
Yeah. Certainly in this, anyway.
Yeah. But I love the Black Panther nod.
Right, yeah. They mentioned Wakanda. I forgot that they mentioned it this early on.
Yep. But yeah, I love how when Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch show up, he moved so fast that he grabbed Claw's gun just as he shoots it, unloaded all the bullets, and then lined them all up on his table right before like Claw knew what happened.
Right.
Which to me is like that was hella fast, which also made me really annoyed at how stupid his death ended up being later.
I have an explanation for that.
Okay.
I think, and I'll sum it up here saying like, in this scene, he was well rested.
But I mean, he had to carry his sister to get there.
Did he? I thought they just like walked in. Because didn't they show? I don't know, but they showed up with Ultron, right? They also carry Ultron. I don't think they can carry Ultron at all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but Ultron can fly. That's why I was like. That's also what I was thinking too. Is that maybe he was tired, but yeah, he picks her up and carries her everywhere in the movie.
Could he run from Sokovia in Europe to where this is like some place in
like
Africa, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's contiguous
land. That was
land.
a cool set though. I did love that whole setting of like a bunch of abandoned ships on that.
Yeah.
Is that like a real place?
I don't know. Probably.
I thought it was a cool set.
Anyways, there's a great example here of like how crazy Ultron is, which I really like how crazy he is. But Ultron and the twins pay Klaue a visit at the salvage yard on the African coast, which is what we were just saying. And they take the vibranium, but they transfer him a bunch of money. They transfer Klaue a bunch of money into some dummy holdings accounts. So I guess it's not really stealing, but, obviously he didn't want them to take it. But then Ultron cuts off one of Klaue's hands, and then he's like,
I'm sorry. I'm sure that's going to be okay. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't understand.
He just doesn't get it. It's great. I like that.
Yeah. I also love that like the trigger for that was Klaue recognizing one of Stark's sayings and then asking Ultron. He was like, "Oh, you're one of his," and that was the trigger for Ultron just losing his shit.
Yeah,
just ripping his arm
he's
off.
totally nuts, right? He's schizo.
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't say that. That's not nice to people who are actually schizophrenic.
Right, but he does have daddy problems.
I guess so. Yeah, technically. So when the Avengers show up, because they are going to go check out Klaue, right? Because of the files that they looked at. Bruce has to sit out the fighting because he doesn't want to Hulk out again. And then we get some good cameos from Haley Atwell and Idris Elba when Scarlet Witch bewilders Cap and Thor, and they have like these flashbacks. And then she gets Black Widow too, and you get a little bit of her backstory. They show her in her Black Widow training. And then I like it when she tries to get Hawkeye as well, and he hits her with a stun arrow first and says,
Done the whole mind control thing.
Not a fan.
Yeah. I was just like, when he hit her in the face with a stun arrow, I was pretty much ready for them to just kill her. Because I really hated how she was just walking up to everybody and going, boop. and then they all go crazy.
On the nose.
Yeah, like how did she just get so close to them and mess with their minds? Like Thor is a god who arguably his reflexes are probably faster than everybody else's. Same with Captain. Well, but Cap had gotten, I guess Quicksilver had knocked him over. So I guess that's how he got her. But like Thor and Black Widow should have been able to have caught her just as fast as like Hawkeye.
Yeah, well the Thor one, not because she got to him, but like his trip or whatever you want to call it, his flashback, his vision, his bothered me the most. And like it seemed totally I wish that whole part had been left out, because everything that it leads up, or that's like the worst part of the movie for me.
Yeah, there was the other thing that was annoyed me was that later you see that Banner was like 20 feet away in the Quinjet, and when he's trying to communicate with them, they can't, state-of-the-art equipment in the Quinjet, and he can't communicate with anybody, including Iron Man, who also has state-of-the-art
because
tech.
Ultron is everywhere. They can't use tech anymore. Everything's got to be like super old. Yeah.
But would he have been blocking their communication? Or?
I don't know if he'd be blocking it, but I think they're just like, we can't use any of this. He may have disabled it even, but anything that's going to like have an OS, right? It's going to,
right.
Like,
I'm having 3 body Have you watched the
Not
three
yet.
body problem
Not
thing
yet,
yet?
no.
Oh, okay.
But that's actually one of my another nitpick I have is like I wish they had leaned into the we can't use tech right now thing anymore. Like there's a line later on where Fury kind of says something to that effect, and like, oh yeah, like none of them are using cell phones or anything. But I don't know. At the same time, I'm glad it wasn't like this big distraction. But it wasn't.
Well, I kind of wish that
obvious.
they did because,
yeah,
how did Iron Man, like, how is Iron Man's suit not?
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't quite make sense. I'm assuming that I don't know they're offline. I don't know.
And then the Quinjet is like just all kinds of tech too.
Or maybe I don't know. No, I'm not gonna go down this. I'm not gonna go down this rabbit
Sorry.
hole. No, it's all right. I'm just like I'm like trying to like justify all these things. I'm like, no, I think it's just they didn't really think it out, and it's a plot hole. Now we get the introduction of the Hulkbuster armor, because Scarlet Witch eventually gets at Bruce, and then he like extra Hulks out because regular Hulk is already out of control, but now if he's having who knows what kind of visions. Yeah, he just goes totally bananas in some nearby city, and then Tony calls in Veronica. Wait, is that a reference to something? Is it like I don't know why
Archie.
is it called Veronica? Is it from the Archie comics?
Yeah, because Bruce was in love with Betty.
Oh,
it was a stretch, but then I like actually looked it up afterwards.
That makes sense. Yeah,
he actually is. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I get it. So Veronica is like a Hulk containment vessel that drops from a satellite. That doesn't hold Hulk for very long. And then Tony, I guess, like summons the Hulkbuster suit. Is that also Veronica?
So Veronica is that floating sentry.
Okay.
That sends the Hulkbuster modules over to him.
All right.
So it sent out the containment unit, but it also sent out the original full armor.
Okay.
And then as the unit gets busted, it sends out new replacement modules so that like his arm when his arm got busted.
Yeah, all right, I was wondering where all that stuff was coming from. Okay.
Yeah, so that's how they all fly in. It's like it monitors the damage and then sends replacement
because at one point
stuff.
Hulk like totally rips one of the arms off the Hulkbuster suit, right?
Yep.
And then all right. Interesting.
There's a scene where they're
so they really thought of everything on that one.
Yeah, like I mean, there's a scene where they're fighting in mid-flight, and then Hulk swats away something that was flying in.
Yep.
And then he swatted it so hard it flew into Veronica, and Veronica blew up.
Oh, yes.
In the background.
Right.
So yeah, that's the whole unit itself was Veronica.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't figure that out.
It's pretty cool because there's a whole story arc from like World War Hulk, where the Hulk took off for another planet, which ends up being Sakaar.
Right.
In Thor 3, and then comes back because basically all the smartest people in the Marvel universe thought that the world would be at a better place if they sent Hulk away.
Okay.
But then the shuttle that they sent him in blew up, and then he had a family and stuff on that planet, and they all got killed. So he came back to Earth really pissed off.
Understand.
And that's where the Hulkbuster armor first showed up. Was Tony had this super mega like gigantic armor to beat him up, and then the Hulk was so mad he just tore through it. And he tore through everybody, all the super teams that came through him.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where the Hulkbuster stuff originally came from.
Interesting.
But it was cool seeing it because I love that. I love how that whole thing looked. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of this movie too.
I liked it. I didn't think it was like the best, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. So there's a big fight between them, and there's a ton of collateral damage, and I was going to say that there's like a dumb sonic blast when their fists hit, but then I remembered that there's also the Hulk clap. So maybe it's something like that. And it certainly wasn't as bad as the two repulsor blasts hitting each other at the Iron Man 2 party scene.
That was just terrible.
Yeah. There's a funny part where Tony's like jackhammer punching Hulk.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
That cracked me up so hard. It was also the way that RDJ was saying it. Was like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Like just praying like this.
That's good. But then it doesn't really make sense when the fight ends. Like they just absolutely demolish this building, and Hulk seems to snap out of it. I guess maybe because he's no longer bewildered or whatever. But then for some reason, Tony can just knock him out with one Hulkbuster punch. and that's the end. But like jackhammering his face earlier did nothing.
Dude, that actually pissed me off so much because like earlier, like not even 5 minutes earlier, he hit Hulk with everything he had, and then the guy just like spit something out of his mouth and then smiled.
Right.
That was like, that scene where he goes,
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just gets knocked out
Yeah.
in this one. Like that kind of annoyed me.
Yeah. Maybe he was finally just too tired.
Yep.
I remember seeing this the first time and thinking, between the events of the Avengers and this movie, like there's a lot of innocent civilians likely being killed and billions of dollars in collateral damage, not realizing that this is leading up to exactly what Civil War is about, and with the Sokovia Accords and all that. In any case, it seems like Ultron's current plan now is to make the Avengers look bad, and it's working.
Yep.
So now we go down to Hawkeye's farm.
Hawkeye has a family.
Yeah, I was not expecting this. So everybody's pretty bummed out from that whole incident, and they all go to a farm that Hawkeye has to just kind of regroup. And this is where I thought for sure that Hawkeye was going to die the first time I saw this. Joss Whedon's known for killing good characters, and we lost Coulson in the first Avengers movie. Wash gets killed in Serenity. There's I don't know, did you see Dr. Horrible?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a character named Penny in that who like kind of, you're like, oh no, she's dead.
No, it was a great fake out.
I hate to give the guy so much credit, but it's like the best fake out. Because like, I'm like, Hawkeye's going to die in this movie for sure. But so it turns out that he's got some land that they can lay low on. And more importantly, he's got a wife and 2 kids and a third on the way. And his wife is played by Linda Cardellini. She's really great. I like her. They lean into Clint being a family man. Tony's got a funny line where he says,
yeah, we would have called ahead, but we were busy having no idea that you existed.
That definitely made me laugh. I'm also laughing that you and I actually home in on the exact same quotes so many times.
Yeah.
That cracks me up. I like the, I don't know if you caught it, but when RDJ was being all sarcastic, he's like, she's an agent. And then the kids went in and he's like, these are little agents.
Yes.
Like just the refusing to believe Clint had a family.
But she is an agent.
Was she?
Yeah, that was the whole thing in Hawkeye was he was trying to get some watch back.
Oh,
right. Yeah. I don't think his kids are little agents though. This middle section is also kind of the worst part of the movie for me. And it's not that bad overall, but it like everything slows down, and then like the worst part is with Thor. And like he's still like super bummed out about the bad trip that he had off the African coast. And then he takes off to find answers, which is the part that I was dreading on rewatch. So I'd like to just get that part over with now. They kind of spread it out in a few chunks, but let's just discuss it and then we can be done with it.
I mean, you were right to be annoyed with it, because I was sort of just sitting there going, so he's just going to be like, well, gotta go. I have answers to go look for, and I'm not going to find them with you losers. And he just takes off.
Yeah, pretty much.
He doesn't even say anything. He just walks out the door, and Cap actually was like, where are you going?
Yeah.
So
he goes, he goes to get Selvig's help for a trip to the Water of Sight in a Norn cave. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't really need to. He's basically.
But why did he need Selvig for that? I guess
because Selvig has. Oh, man, all right. He goes to the Water of Sight, and then I guess you're kind of like he gets possessed by a Norn, and Selvig has to be there to ask the Norn the right questions. And there's an extended version of the scene, which is what I was remembering when I was dreading watching this. They don't have it in here, thankfully. It's really bad. It's like it's Thor doing like this creepy Norn voice or whatever. I don't like it one bit. But it's kind of important because apparently that's where Thor finds everything out about the Infinity Stones and specifically the Mind Stone. But I feel like when he shows up later on, it's just like, this is the Mind Stone. I could have just accepted that he knew about that, especially since he had the Space Stone, right? The Tesseract was in Asgard, and they have the books on it, right? There was no need to have this part. Anyways,
well, also like, why did he need to talk to the Norns? Like, couldn't he have just talk to Heimdall.
Yeah,
He said,
there
"Hey,
was so many other ways of doing this. I think Joss Whedon thinks Norns are cool or whatever, and that's why it's in here.
Yeah. I was thinking it was just they wanted to get him shirtless and dripping with water.
There you go. That could also be a reason why. So again, I was mostly thinking of the extended scene, which is awful. So this wasn't as bad as I remember, but I guess you do get some useful information out of it, but I don't think we needed it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the farm. I love it when Cap and Tony are splitting wood, and Cap gets mad and he's just like ripping the logs apart with his bare hands.
Yeah. And even prior to that, he was just clobbering like just every block of wood. He just one shot.
Yes.
Each one.
Yeah. And it's taking Tony a few swings. There's a couple good lines here. There's a little bit of animosity between Tony and Steve.
I don't trust a guy without a dark side. Call me old-fashioned.
Well, let's just say you haven't seen it yet.
Also, when Tony's telling Cap that he's trying to preemptively save the world, Cap's response is good. He says, every time someone tries to win a war before it starts, innocent people die.
This is another example of like, I totally homed in on this quote when I was listening to it.
That one also reminded me of the discussion he had with Fury when Fury first showed him Project Insight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Then Mrs. Hawkeye shows up and asks Tony to go fix the tractor in the barn. And as he walks away, Tony turns to Cap and he goes, "Don't take from my pile." And like it's kind of zoomed out. You could see that Captain America's pile is like way bigger. I don't know.
It was funny when they zoomed out because there's like it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
His pile was so tiny.
It's funny. He's just kind of childish that way. So then Tony goes to fix the tractor and Fury is there and says, "Do me a favor, try not to bring it to life," which is also kind of funny. I'd forgotten that he shows up here. I thought he was really going to go to fix the tractor. And he's got a new eye patch. And then I was thinking, why did he even burn up his eye patch at the end of The Winter Soldier?
I don't remember. I was kind of confused on why he met only with Tony at first, since like the very next scene, he's talking to everybody else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He didn't really say anything that only Tony needed to hear.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I don't know. Somebody thought that it was clever. That's all I'll say.
They wanted to get the deer joke in when he was like, "Hey deer."
Yes.
And there's a John Deere tractor.
It was kind of funny. It made me laugh. So then, Fury has a team meeting and he has a few important plot points for us. Ultron's been trying to get missile codes, but the codes keep being changed by an unknown ally. He kind of makes the point that they can't really use any like newer technology because Ultron can just get at it, right? So that's why there's not been a lot of communication between people when they're not next to one another. Then at this point in the movie, Bruce gets a thought from looking at one of the kids' drawings of a butterfly, and he's like, Ultron's going to evolve. And then he's like, "Hey, remember Helen Cho from earlier in the movie with the regeneration cradle?"
See, this feels like a stretch. And I had the same feling in Avengers when Black Widow was interviewing Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like saying his lines, and then she's like, "That's the play." And she all of a sudden is like, "He's trying to go after the monster and blah, blah, blah. This. I was like, wait, what? I was like, how did you get that from, like, I was like looking at it, I was like, how did you get that from the butterfly?
I feel like this one makes a little more sense. I mean, like the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. I don't know. I bought it. I mean, he's a genius too, right? So
he is. I thought it was just to me, I was like, it was a little bit much because the guy already has the ability to replicate himself and he's got the whole world to explore.
Mm-hmm.
The whole like finding a new body thing. Like even these guys didn't know about, vibranium being used as a thing.
Right. Well, so I guess my problem with it wasn't how he thought of it, but that everybody was like, yes, that must be it.
Right.
There's no other.
I think that's what, there wasn't a gentle like easing into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if they had done it a little bit, if they'd eased you into it and it became like, oh yeah, that's totally the conclusion after all of this. But it was just kind of like, oh, I got it, guys. He's going to go make himself a body.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, totally. That must be what he's going to do. And then they all just kind of jumped on it.
They got to move the movie along, I guess.
Yeah.
So right after that, there was a scene with where Tony goes to Oslo at like the World Internet headquarters or something. They had some explanation for it to track down where Ultron is. But I didn't really think that was necessary because Bruce had already figured it out. He's going to go use the cradle to build a body or something.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. Like, why did he? Like, they just wanted to show a scene where all those computers and.
I guess.
I actually looked it up. There is no like.
Oh no, I didn't
central
think so.
data.
You know what it reminded me of was in the IT crowd when they have the little black box with the red blinking light on top of it, and they tell Jen that it's the internet. Have you seen that?
And she believed it.
Yeah. Well, and then like somebody breaks it and everybody freaks out, right? I don't know. I mean, it seemed like that kind of thing. That level of goofy to me. Anyway.
I did like crack up when Nick Fury was talking about how
guy's multiplying faster than a Catholic rabbit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
that cracked me up.
That's a good one. I did not write that one down. So we were talking about stretches. I think this is the biggest stretch for me in the movie from a scientific standpoint. Dr. Cho in her lab in Korea, she's been scepter hypnotized, and then she's like 3D printing a body for Ultron in her synthetic tissue cradle. That's all kind of acceptable, but she's somehow incorporating vibranium. And like, I don't know, I was just like, it's best not to ask too many questions. I was like, just trying to accept it and move on.
You mean her statement about it's amazing the fibers just weave together with the vibranium perfectly.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it was another thing where like it's better just to say less and try not to explain everything and make it sound like you're grounding this in reality.
Yeah. It's one of those there's a lot of work being done to justify like the introduction of just like new folks.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vision, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. If they had like I kind of feel like if they had just ditched the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and kept things more simple and focused,
mm-hmm.
It would like stuff like this wouldn't be so like in my face or in your face.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was still like wondering how that they could how's like an Iron Legion guy holding the scepter and then poking her. How does that actually like work when
that's a good point.
It doesn't really have a will, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's technically Ultron as well, right? All those Iron Legion robots are also
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's interesting.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ultron takes the Mind Stone out of the scepter and puts it in the forehead of the body. And so is Ultron a copy of the code in the Mind Stone that's maybe incomplete and that's why he's crazy? Like that's the thought I was having here. I don't know. I'm thinking about it too much.
Well, I took it as like Ultron was born out of the interface that Tony and Banner were creating between the Mind Stone and Tony's AI code.
Okay.
And then that's why Vision worked, because with Vision, they just dropped the Mind Stone on the body right off the bat.
Right.
And so it was integrated into the body.
Okay.
At least that's how I reasoned it.
All right. I like that. That works for me.
Yeah.
I'm turning the tables. I'm making you defend the movie now.
I'm trying because there's still all the little holes that like annoy me.
Yeah. There's a part here where I think Wanda has a bad reaction. Dr. Cho needs to upload Ultron's cerebral matrix to the body, something like that, she says. And Wanda says that she's like, I can feel him, right? Referring to the body in the cradle. And then she like puts her hand on the cradle and like kind of mind reads what's in there. And she sees like a megaton explosion or a gigaton. I don't know how to describe it. A massive explosion. Like you just see the earth, right? And a huge part of it is exploding.
Dinosaur extinction time, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole reading of mind's power that Scarlet Witch randomly has, I don't know.
I feel like they could have used it.
It annoys me every time it pops up in this movie. They could have used
it somewhere else, maybe. I don't know.
Huh?
But anyways, so she sees has this vision, and like, what would you do at this point? What would make sense, right?
Okay.
But she decides, she's like starts questioning Ultron about his motives and like what he's gonna do instead of like keeping her mouth shut and going to get help. So I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. But she did at least have the presence of mind to unhypnotize Cho with another one of her magical powers. And then Cho stops the upload.
I mean, I think maybe she just comforted by the fact that she's got a brother who can move faster than anything. And so,
yeah, maybe she's come to rely on him to get her out of situations in a hurry. I don't know.
I mean, because he did do exactly that, right?
Yeah.
As soon as Dr. Cho got shot.
Yep. So this all leads up to a pretty cool fight/chase scene. The Avengers show up and Ultron takes the cradle in a rig for some reason. And importantly, Dr. Cho tells Cap that the gem's power is uncontrollable. She says you can't just blow it up.
Right. Which we now know is false because Scarlet Witch actually is strong enough to blow it up like she did in Infinity War.
That's true. It does kind of level a bunch of trees, but everybody around, like all the people seem okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe she could also contain the explosion. I don't know. I'll just assume that this movie's wrong and not Infinity War.
Right. This is where I'm going with everything.
Okay.
It's just I'm assuming everything here is just the reason why it doesn't show up in other movies is because everybody else was like, "No, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Let's ignore it."
So now they got to get the cradle from Ultron, and we have the fight chase. And let's talk about some of the highlights. A good amount of this is practical effects. Like I saw some of the behind the scenes stuff, so that's good, and that looks good. I think Joss Whedon went to school on the Russo brothers' work in The Winter Soldier, and maybe decided practical is the way to go.
I mean, he kind of had to. The Russo brothers really leveled up.
Yeah.
Shit with the Winter Soldier. You know.
Yep.
Wait, so was Scarlett Johansson really riding a motorcycle?
I think it was a stunt double.
Yeah.
But for a lot, unless it was like a close up shot, right? I do remember seeing somebody riding a motorcycle through one of the scenes. At one point, Black Widow tells Cap to keep Ultron occupied, and then he replies, "What do you think I've been doing?"
Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one.
Eventually, Ultron's robots take off with just the trailer part of the rig. Like they pick it up and fly it away, which looked kind of goofy, but also, why didn't they just fly just the cradle out to begin with? Like, why did they need the truck at all, other than to have this cool chase scene?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was trying to not be so obvious about the cradle being in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. Black Widow gets the cradle out of the back of the trailer and into the Quinjet that Clint is flying, Hawkeye is flying. And so now the Avengers have the cradle. Something that I don't think I took note of in previous viewings of this movie. The twins have been helping Cap keep Ultron occupied on a commuter train. So they've been fighting him, and that train derails. Quicksilver gets people on the street out of the way, and Wanda stops the train telekinetically. Like after this, Quicksilver seems really tired. Like Wanda asks him if he's okay, and he says he's fine, but he needs to rest a minute. And I think that's important for later when he doesn't get out of the way in time. I just never really kind of put that together before.
Yeah, I just noticed it but I did notice it, but I chalked it up to either A, Quicksilver is just out of shape, or B, he's learning how to use his powers, or more likely C, for me, the writers just didn't know what to do with somebody like Quicksilver. Unlike the Sony writers who did a great job with that version of Quicksilver.
Oh, in X-Men Days of Future Past. Yeah.
Well, every scene that guy's in, they do awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I also like Wanda's line at the end of the scene. She says,
Ultron can't tell the difference between saving the world and destroying it. Where do you think he gets that?
Implying that it's Stark.
Did you know, though, that actually in the comic books, it was Hank Pym, Michael Douglas, who created Ultron?
Yeah,
So
I
thought
accidentally learned that when I was trying to figure out something else at one point, but yeah.
Oh,
I think that Joss Whedon wanted to have Hank Pym in this, maybe. I forget. There's a few people he wanted to have in this that it didn't work out. But So let's talk about another one of Tony's bad decisions. I think this might be my favorite part, if not the part before we were talking about when I said it's my favorite part. I have a few favorite parts. Everybody's back at Avengers Tower, cradle in hand. So then just Tony and Bruce are talking, and Tony says that he found Jarvis, and it's Jarvis who's been changing all the nuclear codes. And now he wants to put Jarvis in the body that's in the cradle with the Mind Stone to make the perfect version of Ultron. And I'm like, he will never learn. But at the same time, I get it. It's because like, well, this time I know I'm going to get it right. Like I know what went wrong before. Like I'm going to nail it this time. And while I was watching it, making the notes, I had written down like it's like almost like a classic time travel paradox thing. I couldn't really explain it, but I was just like, man, we were just stuck doing this thing over and over again.
Right.
And, it's a bad idea, but I understand his reasoning and it's a movie. So I'm like, let's go for it because if they don't, it's going to be a lot less cool. And then like immediately after I had that thought about like, it's a time travel paradox thing. Bruce goes like, this is a time loop. I'm caught in a time loop. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, well, I have seen the movie before. So maybe I'm just remembering something I heard earlier, but I don't know. It was funny. I had that thought and then he literally says it.
Yeah.
Then Tony says it's not a loop. It's the end of the line. And Jarvis chimes in and says he thinks it's worth trying. And then I feel like Bruce goes along with it more because if he doesn't go along with it and help, then Tony's going to do it anyway. And, maybe screw it up even worse.
Right. I mean, I also feel like it was different. It was a fair amount different this time because Tony also ceded like the lead point on the project to Bruce. And he distinctly said, Bruce, like, you're the one that's got bioorganics knowledge and expertise.
Yeah.
Though I'm like kind of wondering when did Bruce get this knowledge, but still, I think he recognized, hey, you're the expert. Let me just get out of your way. And it helped that Jarvis is more like an entity that he knows. And so it's not so much of a leap of like, oh, like we're just going to create AI from scratch, but you already have AI here.
Right. Yeah.
And so let's just see what the Mind Stone plus Jarvis comes up with.
That's fair.
So,
okay.
Oh my God, I am defending this movie.
Oh, wow. What follows is maybe the biggest gamble in the MCU to this point. There's a huge potential for this to be really stupid. And it is a little bit hokey, but it is so great. I love this part. Cap walks in on them working on the new and improved Ultron. And no surprise, Quicksilver sides with Captain America on this and unplugs the cradle while everybody else is arguing. And here we get our first callback. Quicksilver was standing on a glass floor and Clint shoots up through it with a gun, which is weird for him. And Quicksilver falls through and now Clint gets the...
What? You didn't see that coming?
While he was stepping on his leg.
Was he stepping on his leg? I missed that. That's funny.
To keep him still, yeah.
Smart move. Then Thor shows up out of nowhere and just blasts the cradle with some lightning. And I'm like, what? And again, it's a little more clear with the scene that they cut in the Norn cave about Thor's motivations. But that seems really bad. So I would rather be a little muddled with his motivation.
I didn't want to, but this made me listen. I had that guy from Armageddon's voice in my head again. And this time it was like, this is how Norsemen fix problems on Russian space station.
Nice.
Just like taking a hammer to the cradle.
That's funny. So then a naked Vision comes flying out. You don't see his peen or anything. He's smooth like a Ken doll. He starts to rage at first, so it looks like maybe this wasn't a good idea. And then he calms down and then kind of changes his appearance to look more like some of the Avengers in the room, which I really thought was cool. Like his suit becomes like the same blue as Captain America's uniform. Thor puts down Mjolnir, which I wouldn't have bothered saying, but it's extremely important in a minute. The Vision apologizes to Thor, then he grows a cape like Thor, which I guess he can just do. I don't think he ever manifests anything out of thin air again later, but
how do you think he grows a peen?
I guess him and Wanda have a relationship, so I stand corrected.
Exactly.
I wish they had used a practical cape after this, though. It's like it's digital throughout and it looks digital. It always takes me out of it. But Vision looks great. I think if you looked stupid, the whole thing would have fallen apart for me.
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine how much time he spent in the makeup trailer just to look as good as he did. Cause yeah, you can see the lines and everything on his face. And it looks so good.
Yeah, I looked at in the behind the scenes. Actually, it was only like 90 minutes of makeup.
That was it?
Yeah, but it's digitally touched up, so that's why like he has no pores, right? And you see the lines on his face, but he is painted that color basically. And then they had to like build a cooling system into his suit so that it wouldn't die of overheating.
Jeez.
Oh, also,
did he have a zipper to pee and stuff too?
I hope so. Is Paul Bettany like that ripped, or is it the suit? Like, is the suit
I think
padded?
he's just lean to begin.
Yeah,
with.
because like I know he's like skinny, but I feel like he looks a lot more built in that suit. But
I don't know.
I really like how Vision gets his name too. I don't know how he gets his name in the comics, but in this anyway, Thor kept saying something about like he had a vision, and then they start referring to like the vision that he had, and then now this character just gets to be called the Vision.
In the comic books, I don't remember.
Yeah. I'll look that up some other time. But this is like the pinnacle of the movie for me. One of the greatest scenes in the MCU. There's a lot of doubt as to whether or not the Vision is good guy or not.
But he does say all the right things. He's like,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, he just said, I'm on the side of life. I'm not bad. I'm not good. I want life to continue. And he's like, Ultron's anger is gonna wash all over the world, and and I'm here to stop that. He had some pretty good lines himself.
They're pretty convincing, but I think given the circumstances and what everybody's been through, I think there's a lot of doubt.
Yeah.
And then all that doubt is cast aside because Vision just picks up Mjolnir and hands it to Thor. And it's fucking great. That's my favorite part of the movie. It's like a half of a second. He's just like, boom, hands it to Thor. And then everybody knows he's worthy. So he can be trusted. Right. So everybody's on board now. I wonder if they had to pull the twins aside and explain because they weren't in the room before when everybody was trying to pick up Mjolnir. Like, well, you see how it works is.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there was like that one line when he was like, "We have to act now, and not one of us can do it without the others." Right after he said that, I was like, "Really? You probably could get it done without Black Widow and Hawkeye if you really wanted to."
Yeah, I mean, I think I wrote something later about Black Widow and Hawkeye. Like, again, they should have just been immediately killed. There's no way they would last. But I love that they can still fight with everybody. I don't know. I like them.
No, they bring like a nice human touch to everything. Can do attitude.
Let me see. I think I already asked you about if Vision was Jarvis in the comics. Is Jarvis even in the comics?
I don't remember. I don't think so, actually. Maybe? Actually, no, I think he is, but he's like the AI for the house.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't really have an AI.
Yeah.
I don't really remember if he if he regularly talks to his AI in his suits. But I know that there was a Jarvis in the house.
I guess Joss Whedon was the one who came up with the idea for Jarvis to be Vision. So credit there to that guy.
Good move.
And
that was awesome.
In the comics, the Mind Stone was originally blue. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Oh, because I thought I read something about that. What caused me to look into that was in some of the behind the scenes stuff I was telling you about with Paul Bettany getting the makeup on. There is a scene where he has a blue Mind Stone in. So I wonder if they were going to do something different with that at first. I guess you didn't see the Mind Stone before this movie, so maybe they hadn't decided at that time what color it was.
Yeah, I thought that they had picked certain colors because it just showed up better on film.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Well, I thought maybe they changed it digitally later on, but then they show in the behind the scenes stuff, they show him later with the yellow Mind Stone. So,
yeah. And I think blue would have looked weird against his red and green.
Yeah, the yellow looks a lot better.
Yeah.
So now we find out Ultron's ultimate plan here. There's a lot of good scenes in this part. Ultron's waiting for Iron Man in that church in the center of Sokovia. He's made of vibranium now. So he kind of got what he wanted. His Wish.com vibranium body.
it's like the...
have you been juicing? A little vibranium cocktail?
Because he showed up a lot bigger.
Yeah, that's funny. I forgot. I like that what Ultron's been building hasn't really been tipped off. You still don't know at this point. You're expecting maybe some kind of a nuke or some huge machine of destruction, but no, he's building a way to make an extinction level event by turning Sokovia into a meteor. Like I would never in a million years would have guessed that that's what he was doing. And it's a bit ridiculous, but I think for how crazy that is, I think they carry it out pretty cool. It works well. So yeah, at this point, I had the thought that if I think about it too hard, the Ultron as a computer program thing really starts to fall apart, because Vision fights Ultron for a bit and basically kills his Wi-Fi, like destroys his connection to the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
But if he's already everywhere, wouldn't he have to kill that internet connection on every one of his robots? Right? If everything's like a copy, I don't know.
I took it as like he whatever, like there's a part of his programming that allows him to connect to Wi-Fi, and he deleted that part of his programming in like the main Ultron, which meant that like all the other Ultron bodies also didn't have it.
Oh, you think it's like a code thing?
Yeah, and so each Iron Legion robot is just like an agent.
I guess he could have done it like as a computer virus even, and it could have taken them all out that way. Okay.
That's how he gets taken out in the comic book, in the cartoon, the What If cartoon, right? I don't know if you watched that.
I didn't see that one. Is that second season?
No, the first season.
Really?
Wasn't the first season the Infinity Stones?
I don't know.
I'm
gonna need to rewatch it. Anyways,
they weren't that good, so I'm forgetting. I'm kind of questioning it now.
So now is when we find out what the machine does. He starts it, and the entire city starts to lift with a ton of civilians still on it. There's a good scene here with Black Widow and Bruce Banner, where he's saying he's good. He's got a compelling reason to keep his cool because they've been flirting with hooking up kind of this whole time, right? They definitely have feelings for one another. And then Black Widow says, "You're adorable," and kisses him. And then she like shoves him off a cliff. And then she goes, "But I really need the other guy."
Yeah. That's kind of fucked up, but I love that she did it.
Yeah.
And I think like later at the end of the movie, I kind of wondered if maybe Hulk left because that part of their personality was just pissed off that Natasha triggered us without even like asking us.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And took advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny. I like that explanation. So Hulk comes jumping back up, and then they team up to start fighting robots. I realized in this part of the movie, with the Avengers saving people as best they can, part of what I really like about Hawkeye is it seems like that's kind of an attainable thing, like just being awesome at archery, right? I'm not going to go out and do it, but it's realistic.
Like Batman, you mean?
Except that Batman has like all this impossible technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair.
You know, he's just really good at archery. Probably impossibly good at archery. So maybe I shouldn't stake my claim on that. Anyways, my boy Hawkeye has a funny line here. It's practically fourth wall breaking. He's giving Scarlet Witch a pep talk, and he says,
"Okay, look, the city's flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense."
That was a good one.
Yeah. Then he's got another one where Quicksilver says something like, "Keep up, old man," to him, and then Clint takes aim at him with the arrow after he runs off.
Nobody would know. Nobody. The last I saw him, an Ultron was sitting on him. Yeah, I'll be missed. That quick little bastard. I miss him already.
He's just talking to himself too.
Yeah.
Like last time I saw him, Ultron was on him.
It's been a while since I've had a science scrape. I think I might have one here. The city's lifting up higher and higher, right? And at one point you see that they're above the clouds.
Yep.
And so I was thinking, shouldn't it be kind of hard to breathe up there? And they're getting pretty thin. And then it's, you can have clouds as low as 1,000 to 1,500 feet. And then the point at which you can, like, there's just barely enough oxygen to keep breathing, or enough atmosphere, I should say, is at 20,000 feet. So maybe it's okay, but I'm going to say to be continued on this.
How high do you think they got?
I'm not sure. I mean, well, to be continued.
Right,
I'll pick it up in a minute. You'll see. So then the helicarriers show up to start evacuating people, right? And it's the old kind with the turbines because they destroyed the new ones in the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Did you see who was piloting it though?
No, I saw this in your notes and I was like, I didn't know who it was, but when I was thinking back and I was like, was it like Shia LaBeouf or something? Like it looked.
Does that guy look familiar?
No. Who is that?
Now does he look familiar?
Oh, hey, yeah. the computer analyst or the launch specialist from the Winter Soldier.
The guy who refused to launch the helicarriers early, even though Grillo had him at gunpoint.
Got it. No, I did. I totally missed that.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, that's the same guy. That's funny.
I bet he was surprised he got called.
He does kind of look like Shia LaBeouf, though.
Yeah, I was like, that's how I was like, oh, was it Shia LaBeouf? But I like went to IMDb. And I was like, nope,
just some guy.
No Shia.
I really like the part when Thor is fighting Ultron and he's like saying all kinds of cool things, and then he's like,
I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say. Are you ready?
He's like, are you ready? And then Vision comes up behind and socks Ultron with Mjolnir.
It kind of felt like a Thor version of the dance-off between in Guardians of the Galaxy for
a little bit.
Distraction. But it was still funny.
Yeah. There's another pretty iconic scene where all the Avengers have surrounded the core to keep Ultron from turning the key and dropping the city. And they're just fighting off a shit ton of robots. I like it better than the slow-mo scene at the beginning of the movie where they're all like in a line. And I think it works better than the similar shot that they had in the first Avengers movie where they're all getting ready to go fight all the Chitauri.
Yeah. I don't know. The scene was great until it like wasn't for me. Like,
what do you mean?
They were doing their best to keep all of the Ultrons out of there. And then they all of a sudden decide to leave just Scarlet Witch to protect the core from getting triggered.
Yeah.
Like,
that wasn't the best
why
decision.
Not leave? Like, why not leave Thor there? Thor would have been the most, to me, would have made the most sense because like he's stronger than all of them, arguably stronger than the Hulk. He's got a hammer, and why leave somebody that they totally just met up until a few hours ago, who was like an enemy to them? You know, so,
yeah, they could have left at least one other person, maybe too. Like, why?
Yeah.
David,
also, like,
it's the most important thing they need to keep the robots away from.
Right, exactly. And like, what do you call it? What if like a robot was just pretending to be dead until all the Avengers?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
Right. And so
something that was cool and then funny. We got Thor and Tony and Vision all focusing their weapons on Ultron, and they pretty much wreck him. You know, this one Ultron body anyway. And then for a second, Ultron's like,
you know, with the benefit of hindsight.
And then Hulk punches him off into the sky.
Yep.
I have a nitpick here. Tony is underneath at one point, underneath Sokovia, like trying to stop the mechanism somehow. And he like cuts into the bottom of the mechanism. But isn't the whole thing made out of vibranium?
No, I thought it was just that big steel column in the center.
Okay.
Or not steel, that's that big, when they explode and then there's that big column that fell down. Yeah. I thought that was the only part that was made out of vibranium.
Oh, maybe. That would explain it.
Yeah.
So the part where I was certain that Hawkeye was going to die, he's getting on a boat, quote unquote, a boat. They're just using like littler ships to get people from Sokovia onto the helicarrier. And he hears this one lady looking for a kid, so he goes to find the kid.
Dude, man, movie parents are like the worst. You have like your one kid, and it's not until you're in the lifeboat that you notice he's gone. That was such a what the WTF moment for me. Like they should have just tossed her out of the lifeboat for negligence.
That's fair.
I don't know. That was, how did she only just then realize that her kid wasn't with her?
That's fair. Yeah. But anyways, Ultron's flying a Quinjet and he's strafing the area with heavy artillery. And Hawkeye finds the little kid and he's in the line of fire. And then at the last second, Quicksilver shoves him out of the way just in time. But then he gets shot. Quicksilver gets shot. And he's got his final words are, "You didn't see that coming." Which brilliant. Joss Whedon got me there. It's the ultimate misdirect. I love that scene a lot. It's great. Whedon might be an intolerable prick, but that really got me. I was certain Clint was going to die. And I kind of felt bad for Quicksilver. And it was a good callback. So applause all around. But if Quicksilver had just tackled them, he would have also been out of the way. So
I agree with you there. Like, he should have just tackled them. But then if he tackled them, wouldn't he have risked just kind of plowing through them?
Yeah.
Like a missile?
Yeah. Like A-Train on in The Boys.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was picturing.
Right.
But then, like, to me, it was like, what the fuck, Hawkeye? Like, you saw the bullets coming at you. Like, he was closing his eyes and facing them. And then I think he decided to just turn around and shield the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't you take that half second when you were turning around to shield the boy to get out of the path of the bullets?
It's not like it's not like Ultron could change the course of the ship that fast, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Move to the left.
I don't think I'd noticed that.
Or to the right.
I don't think I had noticed that he took that half second.
So I don't know. I thought it was just, man, Quicksilver is just such a great character. And like, I guess when you get rid of a speedster, that's like somebody that can run that fast, then you don't have, there are a lot of movie plots down the line that you don't have to be like, oh, I wish we could just run down there and get this information, or hey, why don't you check to see where the bad guys are?
I mean, they a little bit have that problem with Captain Marvel, right? And then like she's always like, oh, I'm busy helping out somewhere else, is always her excuse, instead of coming in, because she would be able to come in and save the day all the time. But yeah, I didn't mind him being killed off because I think that's why I like him in this movie, is because like he's just here for this movie. It's kind of cool how he does you didn't see that coming. It was used for the misdirect, so it didn't bother me that he died. But
it's fine. He got reincarnated as Kraven the Hunter.
He did.
Have you seen those trailers yet?
No, I don't want to.
It's a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, I'm aware of what it is, but I don't.
Oh.
All these Sony Spider-Man movies are not spin-off movies, I should say. I don't know.
I watched Madam Web in the background, and I'm glad I only watched it in the background, because the parts I heard were so stupid.
I heard it wasn't that bad, quote unquote, that bad, but I still don't think I'm going to watch it.
No, it's bad.
Let's see. I thought it was funny when Hulk jumps into the back of the Quinjet to fuck up Ultron, and then Ultron's like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
It's how he delivers it too.
Yes.
It's his voice and how he delivers these lines.
Then after Hulk throws Ultron out, he takes off in the jet. And then he's gone until Ragnarok. I'd kind of forgotten that. In the original script, there was a line that Nick Fury gives Black Widow later, saying something about the Quinjet has been detected near Saturn, and kind of alluding to what you were talking about before about Planet Hulk.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think that would have been dumb here. I don't know if that would have worked out.
Was the Quinjet even space capable?
Yeah, well, exactly. But then how did he get to whatever planet that is in Thor Ragnarok?
That's just one of the other great mysteries of the MCU.
It's better just to not ask questions.
Yeah. I think he just fell into one of those rainbow bridges.
Yeah, I guess there were some random ones just scattered about, right?
Yeah. I mean, he ended up in bed with Jeff Goldblum, so that worked out.
Literally in bed?
No,
okay.
it like in that plant, in that.
I thought maybe I was misremembering. So seems like things are going to be okay. Wanda finishes off that one Ultron body. But there's the one robot that gets to the device key and then everything drops. I like the quick thinking on Captain America's part. He like jumps like onto the boat just in time. Catch that?
Yeah.
And then bad goes to worse because the device has thrusters on top to make it fall even faster.
Yeah, those were interesting thrusters. They were rigged to flip, and then I guess from the inside of the city, it just turned into like it just melted whatever was on top of it, and then started shooting down.
Yeah. So here's my continued science gripe now. So it starts to burn up a little bit. I don't know if you caught that. I showed the bottom starting to burn up a little bit.
Heating up.
Yeah, I don't know if there's time for my Pacific Rim rant here. They do it in Blue Beetle as well, but suffice it to say, something needs to be going really fast, really, really, really fast to burn up in the atmosphere.
Right.
It's kind of reasonable here because you have the thrusters. Okay, we're not dropping from a standstill, right? It's got the thrusters.
Right.
I could kind of almost give it a pass here, except remember the thin atmosphere gripe I had a few minutes ago
that
I gave him a pass on. You can't have it both ways because if I'm being really generous, if it's moving fast enough at like burn up speed and they can still breathe at that altitude, I mean, it's like you're talking 10 seconds max, being like super generous with the calculations. So one or the other doesn't make sense. I can't tell you which one, but it's not both. Or not both of them cannot happen in this movie.
Right.
But not to worry, Thor and Tony blew up the Sokovia meteor. So it's just little tiny pieces, harmless little tiny pieces. And then Thor falls into the ocean. What happened there? Did he get knocked out?
I think it just the explosion knocked him out for a little bit, and then he fell in.
Like
I was just amazed that Iron Man flew through all of that crap and then didn't get hit by anything.
Right, especially with the events of Iron Man 3 when he kept getting taken out by rubble.
Right.
And then let's see. Oh, it was just like I really like Vision with his last line in the movie. He finds it's like back on the rest of Earth, right? He finds one last robot crawling out from the crater.
You're unbearably naive.
Well, I was born yesterday.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then he zaps that last robot body, and there's no more Ultron.
Yeah. Yeah, this goodbye scene with the two of them, that's just freaking great.
It's
like,
shot
the lines
really
are
well
great for
too.
both of them.
Yeah, it's a good looking scene.
It was so great. Those last two lines were like perfect. When I first watched this, AI wasn't a thing, but now that it's actually a thing for us, this time watching it around, it made me think of a recent AI demo I saw of somebody that had the AI on their computer talking to the AI program on their phone, and how both programs just started talking to each other.
Right. I think I saw that. Yeah.
That's what this scene reminded me of.
Yeah, that's funny. So now we have the denouement, and there's the new Avengers facility in upstate New York. The Mjolnir debate continues. We got Tony, Steve, and Thor talking about how was Vision able to wield Mjolnir, and like there's a
great dialogue.
The line about like if you put the hammer in an elevator, like it's just a machine, and they're like, well, Vision's just a machine, right? Trying to justify it.
It's like they don't even lose a step. It's like elevator's not worthy.
Yep.
and they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, so good.
That was great. Thor says the Mind Stone is the fourth Infinity Stone to show up in the last few years. How did he know about the Power Stone? Because that was like only Guardians of the Galaxy.
From the Norns? His
vision
with the Norns?
Yeah. There you go. You figured it out. Cap and Black Widow are going to lead the team together now. You see War Machine, Falcon, Vision, and the Scarlet Witch as some of the Avengers, I guess.
Mm.
And then in the final shot, it pushes in on Cap and he says, Avengers. And that's it. He doesn't get to say assemble, which is kind of a weird choice, I think. Cut to credits. We got the mid-credit stinger where Thanos gets the gauntlet out of storage and says, fine, I'll do it myself. Which I feel like would have been more fitting if that came in after Guardians of the Galaxy. Right? Because Thanos is not in this movie at all. But
yeah, actually, what was he responding to when he said fine?
Exactly. Like it seems like because Ronan and the other kind of failed him, right? It seems like that's what he was responding to, which is not this movie.
Right.
And then post credits, all it says is the Avengers will return. And that's that.
Wait, what was the end credit stinger here?
That was it. All it says is the Avengers will return. There's nothing. And I'm sure I sat through the credits, but I don't remember being.
I was like,
I don't remember being mad about that. So I did want to mention one last thing that I picked up from behind the scenes or just reading about the production. But Captain Marvel was in the script at the ending at some point. I'm not sure exactly where, but Feige made Joss Whedon take it out because they didn't want to rush the casting for that part.
Oh, they hadn't casted
No,
Brie.
I don't think.
Larson yet.
I don't think that's till phase 3, right? Because
Yeah.
because interestingly, this is not the end of phase 2. There's still Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's the end of phase 2, which is a weird choice. I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know why they did that.
Oh,
And
really? I always thought the Avengers were the end cap to each phase.
it would make sense, right? And then
Yeah.
Endgame isn't the end of phase 3. It's Spider-Man Homecoming. And I'm like,
Wait, what? Really?
yeah. But like they could fix this. It's just numbering or what, like not even like I don't know why it's like that. But it officially that's the end of phase 2 and phase 3. Ant-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming. Weird.
Yeah.
I have that rant down there later, but we can just have it now. Okay. So let's move on to changes we'd like to have seen. And do you want to go first? I think it is your turn to go. I don't remember if we take turns or not, but I have you up
I
first.
don't remember. I mean, I guess I can go first. Yeah, I've got a few.
Okay.
Well, actually, now that I feel like we've talked through them, so they don't seem as bad, I guess.
Mhm.
But I still feel like they should have just stuck to an AI gone horribly wrong script and not try to cram in Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and the whole enhanced thing. Like, I get that they were trying to give us more Avengers, but I just feel like they just botched the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver intros for me. Like, thankfully, the other directors who took over guiding Scarlet Witch through the MCU, I'm glad that she became better and better successively through the series.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still stand by my gripe of choosing the enhanced word to describe them. I still think that's garbage.
Yeah, and I think I agree. Like, it could have been any two characters. It could have been two robots. Although they wouldn't have been able to switch sides necessarily. But
yeah, again, I don't know if I'm turning into an old boring man, but the cheap face planting of Banner's face into Black Widow's Tig Bitties, that was just lame to me. And like I think every time as soon as I saw that, I was just like, he did it again in Justice League, and I had that flashback of Justice League with, except in Justice League it was the Flash and Gal Gadot,
mm-hmm.
and then just like lots of random shots of Gal Gadot's rear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm as red-blooded a male as it gets, and Scarlett Johansson and Gal Gadot are as fine as it gets too. But like, man, just go get a pro account on like Pornhub already, man. Just like,
is that
like, you don't need to throw this in here? I don't know. I just assumed. And then third, the AARP convention at the Avengers parties at the same time just threw me off.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's much more creative ways to get Stanley a cameo. But like right after I wrote all this, I actually looked up what was Stan Lee doing in that cameo. What was that whole party? And then like I didn't get an answer, but I did see that Stan Lee said that that's his favorite cameo of all time. Huh. Yeah, mostly because he was in it for longer.
Right.
And then the last thing for me was the cave bath scene. Like, I know everybody wants to see Chris Hemsworth shirtless. Just have him walk around changing his shirt.
Right.
But that whole scene seemed useless for me.
All right. I don't have a whole lot. It's far from a perfect movie, but it's solid all the way through. I would like it if they could have found a way to further cut out the Norn cave scene, like you.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Thor could have just had a vision where, like, when he was tripping or whatever from Wanda zapping his brain, maybe he could have seen Odin telling him something about the other Infinity Stones, specifically the Mind Stone. Something like that would have worked. I would have cut out the part where Tony's in Oslo tracking down Ultron. Totally redundant. Didn't need it.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And let Captain America say "assemble" at the end. Avengers assemble. Like,
you don't think it was worth it though at the end of Endgame when he finally says "assemble"?
No. There's so many. Like,
he didn't even yell it though. Too. Yeah. He was just kind of like "Avengers assemble."
Did he peter out at the end? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay, let's move on to the ranking here. The Rotten Tomatoes score, 76% with the critics, 82% with the audience, which would put it around Thor,
70.
Captain America, The First Avenger, and Iron Man 3, according to other Rotten Tomatoes scores. Our current ranking, going bottom to top, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, The Avengers, Thor, Captain America, the First Avenger, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
At the very top.
Yep. So you may speak your mind on this first.
There's so much to like. The parts that I liked were just great. The parts that I disliked, I just really hated.
Mm-hmm.
But at least the shining moments for me, Ultron, Vision, and the Hulkbuster armor.
Yeah.
Like those are my three favorites. But I don't know. For me, it just barely beats out the Avengers.
Okay.
But it's not as good as Thor 1.
Okay. With the first Avengers, it wasn't as good as I remember. There was still a lot to love, but it had a lot of issues too. And with Age of Ultron, I was worried that it wouldn't hold up as well. But again, I think this is the most that I've liked it. Like this viewing was the most that I liked it. Although now that we've talked about it, I'm like, there's a few more problems. I had it, and on my own personal ranking, I had it just above Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't think I would agree with that anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was like, blasphemy as soon as I saw your notes.
I like that the characters are more like themselves in this one. That was a big improvement over Avengers. And the character writing is a lot better in this one too. And the parts that I was dreading went pretty quick. So I think for me, the new number 5 would be my low point. So I think that's right where you're saying too, right? I guess I would be bumping Thor down.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to make it interesting, or do you want me to just agree with you? I feel like after,
I don't want to twist your arm.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it's so close, right? We're talking about one spot up or down.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, Thor 1 was a great movie in its own right.
I agree.
And then this one was good, but I don't know that I would.
I think the reason I would put it above Thor is what it sets up, which is basically Civil War, right? Which is
right, but you can't give it points for that.
I can.
You got to give it points on just the movie.
But I mean, well, if you're gonna say that, I mean, Thor you could watch without seeing any of the other ones, right? But this one I feel like you got to watch a bunch before, so it's like almost unfair to even try to rank them in the same list, you know?
Fair. But Avengers 2 was set up by Avengers, so you had all of that coming in as a team.
All right. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's better than Thor. Let's play for it. It's one spot. You're probably gonna win.
Let's do it.
It's my turn to win. My turn to win. It's my turn to win, George. My turn to read. Jesus. My turn to bid first. All right. Let's read.
I'm going in. Cap, can you keep him occupied?
What do you think I've been doing?
All right. I'm ready to bid when you are ready to hear it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I am confident in 2.
It's probably the same 2 that I'm confident in.
I'm gonna bid 2. I think I might have 3, but I'm not confident in 3.
Oh, that's pretty good because I'm only confident in 2.
Okay, so you're not gonna bid higher?
Nope.
I'm gonna get these 2.
You probably will.
All right. Okay. So let's see. Let me text you the answers. There you go. You're gonna have to flip it over.
All right. The Ancient One tells Hulk he is about how many years too early to find Doctor Strange?
5?
Oh shit, you got that right.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the one I was.
That
was the one I was like, eh. So I was thinking about going for 3.
Oh, nice.
Okay. All right. So I can.
Cool. So you've got room. You've got room to. You've got room to.
Actually,
breathe.
now that I think about it, one of the other 2 that I said I was confident in, I'm not that confident in one of them. But anyways. Okay.
You probably know it. What kind of toy do Natasha Romanoff and Yelena Belova use to sneak a transmitter to Alexei Shostakov in prison?
I have no idea what this is talking about. I don't remember any of that.
I think it's just the Black Widow movie.
Yeah, which I like, but I don't remember that part at all. And a toy to sneak into prison. I don't know. I'm just gonna say a stuffed animal.
Cool. Nope. Red Guardian action figure.
Oh, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Now that I hear it.
That made sense to me when I read it too. I was laughing at this question because I was like, there were so many.
Yes. It's like, do
What
I
is
just
the
name
name
any
of-
one of them?
Yeah, I know. It's such a weird question. What is the name of the military officer in Captain America: The First Avenger?
Oh, is it Tommy Lee Jones's character?
Oh, maybe.
Whose name is Colonel. It's not Rhodes. It's Colonel Frank something. I don't know.
You want an answer?
Yeah, I don't.
You actually were on the right track with Colonel,
Yeah.
but it was Chester Phillips.
Yes, it is. That is the character. Yeah, the one military officer in the movie.
But was it? Oh, what's her face? Wasn't a military officer?
No, she was like MI6 kind of thing. I don't know if it was really MI6, but
Oh,
but anyways, I knew who. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Next one.
all right. The what is the name of the famed sword of the Valkyrie?
I figured you would have known this, or was this one of the ones that you do know?
This was the iffy one
Okay.
for me.
Yeah, I will know it when I hear it. I don't know.
Dragon Fang.
I don't know that. Does not sound familiar.
They only mention it really briefly in Ragnarok.
Okay.
And then this is the one I'm sure you know. What color is Kree blood?
Is it green?
Oh no, it's blue.
Is it blue? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was either blue or green. That was one I said I was sure on though. And then I'm like, ooh.
Oh, that's the one you were sure
It
of?
was one of the ones that I thought I was sure of, but now that I got number 5, the first one correct, I was.
At least, yeah, you've got yourself breathing room.
Yes.
Because you have to know this next one.
Yes.
What organization shows up and steals all of Dr. Jane Foster's research?
Strategic Home something Shield.
Okay, you got Shield right.
Yeah.
But no, what is the other? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What do the other acronyms?
I was going to try to
for-
show off. I'm like, I don't know what it stands for.
I don't even know it.
All right.
But yeah, it was Shield. So you got your 2.
Alrighty. So that makes. What movie do we
Wait,
watch
so you
now?
are going to settle on Thor being bumped down?
Yeah, I'm going to bump Thor down.
Oh, all right.
So that makes Avengers: Age of Ultron our new number 5.
Oh, yes, it does.
And I'm starting to get my revenge on George.
Ooh,
That's it for Avengers: Age of Ultron.
that's what it feels like.
That's not that bad. It's one spot. Next
I
up,
know, I'm just kidding.
Ant-Man from July 17th, 2015. It's a pretty short wait. It was like 2.5 months after Age of Ultron.
Mm.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at absolutelythebestpodcast at, did I say podcast? absolutelythebestpodcast@gmail.com. Join our Discord. Links are in the show notes. And we have a few links there for our socials and a couple of ways you can support the show if you want. But the best thing you can do would be to leave a review. Please, that sounded like I was mad. The best thing you could do would be to leave a review. Please help us spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell a Norn. And tell a robot. Thank you for listening and have a great day.
Good game, man.
Absolutely the Best Podcast is a production of Audio Johnny, a subsidy of Corporation Johnny.
Corporation Johnny. If it exists, we own it.